Councilmember Hayden is absent. Councilmember Hooker.
Here.
Councilmember Raisler.
Here.
Councilmember Schofield.
Here.
Councilmember Weisenbeck.
Here.
5 are present.
Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, I forgot to mention that as
Okay, I think this is going to move along.
So if you see my phone.
Okay.
Okay,
Would somebody like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It's adopted. Next we move on to public comments. Are there any public comments before tonight's council meeting? None? Move on. No scheduled appearances. We move on to the consent agenda. The following matters may be acted upon by the city council utilizing a single vote. Individual items which any member wishes to address in greater detail or as a separate item on the regular agenda may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any council member. We have the minutes from the regular city council meeting from July 8th, 2022. Bartender's license for Kaylee L. Lanning, September A. Lewick, Kaylee T. Bauer, and Haley M. Dunn for the Duran travel stop. Nothing from the chief?
No. Keep it going.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion concerning the consent agenda?
Make a motion, we can approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It's approved. Next, we move on to administration, mayor's report. Just a few things to talk about. Obviously, I'd like to congratulate all the folks involved with FunFest. I think it was a real successful event. A few minor issues along the way, but nothing crazy. I think people had a lot of fun. I know the Chris Cruzy event on Saturday night was very well attended. Was in the park and doing that, and the parade on Sunday. All the events were real positive. So obviously congratulate to those folks. And obviously a great weekend for the community with FunFest. Just a reminder, of course, as we know, music in the park tonight. First one of the season, across the street. Get the opportunity to go over and walk through the park after the meeting. Always good to do that. Again, it seems like they've got really nice weather for that event tonight. Of course, they'll be doing that 3 times this year. Just to mention, as we had a committee meeting prior to this concerning the dog park issue, we had that in front of public welfare, Chairman Hooker, and ran that, and we went through and presented a lot of information to the community. We had the opportunity, of course, for them to also to put their opinions in. We have a lot of information if people are interested that has been presented to us. We'll make sure any of the council members that want it. We have some petitions that were presented. Obviously, we'll make sure anybody on the council. But what I'd like to do is, between now and the next council meeting, which of course is the first one in the month of July, so it'd be the 13th, at that point, get it back on the agenda for a decision about moving forward. Are we, we've already put the motion, or we've already put we've passed saying we allow them to raise money, the insurance would cover it, so I wanted to do that. The question is if there's a concern about the site that we want to ask to have them, I think we should make the decision for them one way or the other and have that come up, and so look at that. But again, actually we'd have 3 weeks, right, because there's another one in there, so we'd have time for all council members to make sure they fully look at it.
Have they raised all the money?
No. They reported they raised 7 of 65,000. 7,200, 7,300 is what they have in the bank.
I thought they wanted 100,000.
It depends on how extensive it gets.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think there's a conditionally. We can break some of that
So
out.
they're starting.
We can break that out for where they're at, so and so forth. Okay. And I'd like to also congratulate another group, local group, the Durand Sportsman's Club was recently awarded the top award for hunter safety. I believe, according to what somebody in the group was telling me, there's about 800 different groups that might do hunter safety in the state of Wisconsin. And there's, of course, a group from the Durand Sportsman's Club that do that. Of course, we're not a lot of hunting in town, but obviously a lot of hunting enthusiasts, and obviously all the kids that want to go through the hunting safety program, the hunter safety program. And again, they were recently awarded with the with the top prize in Wisconsin and recognized. So just going to mention a local group that does a lot of good work, and then also that they get recognized for what they do to help promote hunter safety. So I want to mention them in the report tonight. That's all I've got. Next we move on to Administrator's Report. Administrator Rasmussen.
As you're all aware, basically I just got back in the office here for the 5:30 meeting, so I'm playing a little catch up, so I don't have a lot, but I do have kind of a big item. You've heard me talk, we've had some various requests on some various building issues. One of them that we've been working on, Matt and I've been in some communications with the business that wants to build on the former McMahon site, or the McMahon lot next to Family Dollar. They want to build a Dollar General right next door. There are two pieces, basically, there's some plans and they're in compliance with our code except for two items. One regarding parking, the number of parking that's listed in code, which again, at this point I think is doable. The second one is, in my opinion, a little bit of a minor thing. We have a little bit of a small thing in here about if the store size is just over 10,000 square feet, and if it's over 10,000 square feet, they need 2 loading docks. They're asking it's just an exemption to have 1 loading dock. So again, it's, but clearly, so what, basically what work seems in working in their schedule and their client's schedule is that we shoot to have this on the council agenda for the 13th, get public hearing notice, get the variance committee probably scheduled for the 10th or 11th, maybe even before the meeting of the 13th, to discuss these items and go forward. So, yeah, working with various questions with them for a while now, and off and on, and we had some other interest in that lot as well, but obviously now this is, as I talked to them before I left last week, clearly when you submit your data for a variance request, it becomes public information. I know they've been doing some environmental work up there as well, and there's been a few questions that popped up of what's going on there. Well, so at this point, that is what potentially is going on there.
So they're talking about leasing land, or?
Travis, to be honest with you, I don't know. From the standpoint, yeah, I don't know. At this point, that was one thing that they were going to get back to me on that I haven't hit the emails yet to see, or maybe that's on my voicemail as well. Yeah, I don't, because we did check, and it doesn't look like the land has changed hands.
It sounds like the building would actually be facing, for lack of a better direction, north, or the east, and then the parking would be in front of it on the side. So it would be, where the parking is for the other store would sort of come around,
Right.
You'd have that. Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for the city administrator? Hearing none, we'll move on to public safety. Police department, I know we talked with the chief. I don't know if I did talk to him to say he didn't have much to report
Same thing, yeah.
and to do something like that. Fire department, anything else? I see the chief is not here also, but discussion possible action amending the fire department employee handbook.
I would just note that, just for the committee's sake, so the Public Safety Committee did approve this change. I did talk to Jamie. We wanted to make it maybe a little more descriptive than even we did that night. So the point here is that it sounds like there is a longtime member of another local fire department, or that had been a member of the local fire department that wants to join Durand City Rural Fire Department. So again, 20 plus years experience. For him to go back and get the Firefighter 1 certification at this point would be a long time consuming and money related point. So the chief was asking if we have basically anyone who has an equivalent experience, again, per the chief, that they could allow that member to join our department. And again, not speaking on behalf of the committee, but it seemed that that was acceptable to them.
So anyway, so everybody has it in front of them. It's pretty, not much wording, basically just saying we're adding in there unless, or as approved by the chief. Because again, we have somebody with the experience and this would, in this particular situation.
And this did come before the public safety and it was approved, they're recommended for approval. So I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to make the change to the fire department employee handbook. Is there any more discussion?
My only thought on it is, and I followed up with Chief King, maybe for future, to not have it approved by just one person. I think that potentially opens it up for some biased by one person, and I'm not saying Jamie or Chief King is that person whatsoever, but going forward, when they have things like this, maybe it gets approved by the officers.
The officers,
Or, you know, just so it's not one person that kind of takes on all of that, the liability too, if, you know, so.
Matt, are you suggesting,
I'm not, I mean, I think it's kind of, the work is already done here. I'm just thinking maybe the next time that something else is updated, maybe they look at, are there other things that also the chief purely does himself? By no means do I want to take any of his authority and power away. It's more of a kind of a liability thing of like, you should have more than just yourself maybe approving that. You know, per se, if you get a new chief in town who wants to get all his buddies involved, you know, technically by this, I think he probably could do that.
so having said that, would it make more sense to delay that and redo it and put that in there instead of, because if we approve the ordinance, there's no reason to do that.
Unless does our city attorney not think this is an issue?
Well, I frankly, we didn't even contact him on this one, from the standpoint going, I'm sorry, man, I don't put you on the spot, it's just.
I don't disagree
mean,
with what you're saying.
I think it's the chief's, basically decision to hire personnel, right? It doesn't go before,
All the officers interview.
it's an all interview, so,
Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of an interview process.
Okay, so the process is that way anyway, then maybe it just should be added. I don't think there would be any concerns from Chief King. I mean, essentially, that's what you're doing.
So just, you'd redo it and say.
Or from an
Instead of
experience
approved by chief,
as
approved by
approved by
committee.
the chief and officers.
You know, or majority, I don't
Yeah.
know how that works, but
Yeah.
do you guys have to have, like, when you vote on things, do all of the officers have to agree on something, or can it be, you just need a majority?
No, you just need a majority.
And in this case, we're just talking about the person. I mean, we're not talking about every decision.
Right,
made, that-
right,
Just
right,
on
yeah.
personnel
Yeah.
decisions. So
Yeah.
clearly, right now, it is a consensus of the chief and the officers. That's a fair statement, man. Yeah.
Man, clearly right now it's the chief's decision, but the chief
Takes input
takes
from.
input from the officers. So the officers are involved. I don't want, again, take the authority away from the chief. The
And
chief has-
that's not my-
The chief has the
Yeah.
authority, but he involves the officers in the process.
And fair to say, he probably still involved the officers even on a decision like this.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like the officers,
Yeah.
all of the
Yeah.
officers interviewed this individual, and there was a consensus amongst all of them to hire this individual.
Yeah, the only thing that Councilmember Racer was saying is, what if we got somebody else that we didn't?
Right, yeah.
Now, the chances of us that happening here, but technically, it is still possible.
And you have somebody that makes an error, and, you know, in the legal world, it comes back to, well, the chief approved it, versus like if you have the officers approved it, I think there's a little bit more ground and not have one person taking all that heat.
Well, I think we gotta check the statutes too, because the fire chief has certain powers.
Sure.
Like, I think the decision is his law, and again,
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, man. It's like, I don't see Chief King not taking the input.
Yeah, this
But
is
you know what?
nothing,
What if he didn't want to?
water reader, nothing about Chief King. It's-
Yeah, right.
Okay, so, well, we do have a motion second on the floor. Now, the question is, there's a couple things, do we want to change that? We can vote just to approve it, move on, and then it suggest that they look at that as a concern. We can, if you want to pull it back and mention that to, because I think obviously we need to get Chief King involved in this conversation, and just say, well, let's hold off a meeting and then bring it back. Because at the end of the day, this isn't going to affect the situation, isn't that?
The delay is not gonna hurt anything. Yeah.
So I'd ask, how would you write it that, I understand what Matt said they do, and that's probably okay.
You would just include "and officers," approved by the chief and officers.
I mean, we could add that if, obviously, Steve, you made the motion, right? You'd have to say, can we go ahead to say,
Well, I guess I would want to do that. I mean, this is what the chief brought us,
yeah.
and I wouldn't want to do that without consulting him.
Sure.
So,
Again, as we said, if we delay the meeting, that,
So we pull it off.
well, it's on the table for, but the person who made the motion is gonna have to pull it, and so Councilmember
I'll
Stover is
rescind my,
gonna rescind it, and let's just bring it back next time. And let's get this again, plus we can get it clarified before.
Do I need to do anything since I seconded it?
No, if he pulls it back and then the second comes back with it, so. Yes. Okay, so we'll just then put it on for the next meeting. Okay?
Good.
Okay, anything from ambulance?
No problem.
Okay, Public Works Utility, engineers reports?
Yes.
Russ?
Good evening. Just an update on the Wisconsin DOT bipartisan infrastructure law application for Main Street. Talked to the DOT today. They did receive a lot of applications as we anticipated. But they mentioned that they're still intending to be on schedule end of August, beginning of September, to have everything scored and release the funding list. So they're right on schedule. Also regarding the bipartisan infrastructure law, I attended a virtual webinar that was put on by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources regarding bill funding for what's called the Clean Water Fund, which are primarily water mains, towers, pump houses, anything to do with your water system. So that was kind of exciting too. We mentioned before we anticipated more money coming through the bipartisan infrastructure law funding. And the Clean Water Fund, again, that's water system. Then there's Safe Drinking Water Fund is the water system. The Clean Water Fund is sanitary, sewer, and wastewater. They haven't had a webinar on that one yet, but they expect it to be same as what they presented in their webinar last week. There's gonna be about 700 million available for water systems over the next 5 years. They've always had it's not a grant program, but it's the same thing. It's called the Principal Forgiveness Program. They're revising that scoring system. It includes a lot of things with your system, low to moderate income, debt, needs, all of that. There's a scoring system. So they're revising that Principal Forgiveness grant portion to score, to hopefully get a lot more communities that would qualify for that grant or principal forgiveness amount. They have triple the amount of principal forgiveness through the Safe Drinking Water Program, triple the amount. They're tripling the maximum amount. In the past, it's been maxed out at 500,000. They're increasing that to 1.5 million per project for principal forgiveness. So a lot of exciting things coming under that program. And they'll be doing yearly applications for the next 5 years for that. So, and we expect to hear the same again on the Clean Water Fund for wastewater and sanitary sewer. So both those programs might tie in to your Main Street project. So we'll continue to monitor that. And as we hear on the DOT bill funding for the the storm sewer, the street portion, sidewalk, curb and gutter. Once we hear on that, then we can strategize and submit for some of that other application money. So good news. Both of them are supposed to have about the same, 700,000 for safe drinking water and about 700 million for safe drinking and about 700 million for clean water. So if there's any other projects in your capital program dealing with water or sanitary, we should discuss that too, and put some applications for some other projects over the next 5 years. Project updates. Matt's going to cover the pool project. I've been involved with the site civil portion and the design team meetings every week. We have a design team meeting. Matt'll cover it, but everything's right on schedule, as they mentioned in the past, in terms of completing final plans and spec documents next week and assembling those and getting that out for bid. That'll cover those items under his items 3 and 4. 2021 project updates, 3rd Avenue East. Good news, we finally heard back from A1 Excavating in terms of their schedule. They're come out and take care of their punch list items. They're hoping yet this week to get started on and have everything we have on the list completed within the next 1 or 2 weeks. So hopefully that happens. That's on 3rd Ave East. On Laneville and Dryer Street, restoration continues to come in nice, similar to the 3rd Ave East. Again, there's some areas that they recently did over the last month, so now we're in the heat of the summer heat, so now we need some rain to continue to get the grass established on the Laneville project. We're looking into an issue that Matt found just recently on the Laneville project, connection, sanitary sewer connection item that we're gonna be reviewing over the next few weeks at Lee Street. So, other than that, he's pretty close to completing that project once the grass is established and satisfactory. Durand East, the grass is in much better condition, is being satisfactory and finalized. We just have a section, they had the water main break that they need to restore when they come in this week or next week, so. That's a project update and engineer's report, if anyone has any questions, comments.
Questions for the city engineer? Thanks, Russ. Next, we'll move on, public utilities, Superintendent Gillis.
Pretty much everything is in the next two items, unless anybody has any questions.
Quick update on how things are going at the pool.
Things are going good at the pool. We're maintaining temperature, furnaces are running good. We're keeping the chlorine levels where they should be. Pool basin's holding up for us. Staffing, is adequate. Still running a few days here where we're low on staff, even though we have eight lifeguards, and between their schedules and everything else going on. We just wrapped up swimming lessons, first round of swimming lessons this week. Tomorrow will be their last day. Things seem to went well. A couple bumps last week with some weather and a few things, but overall they finished strong. The second round is out, so if you haven't signed up yet, get an email in. I believe Friday is the end day to get your email to City Hall to get signed up. We did do sign up for all 6 of the, so there's levels, there's sessions. You have a time slot. The session starts at 8 or from 9 to 10 and 10 to 11, and then in those sessions we have levels. For this second round, we only have enough WSI lifeguards for 4 sessions per hour. So even though we're signing up for 6, then we're gonna look through and see which ones we can offer, which ones are more heavily populated, which ones we can shift around to different hours to try and get everyone in the swimming lessons. So bear with us on this second round here. Staffing issues are we're not fully staffed for those 2 weeks, and if we don't do them those 2 weeks, we can't do them at all because we're closing early this year for the proposed construction. So, but otherwise, things are, I say things are going good. There's a fair amount of gray hair involved in making sure things go good. I don't want to get into the nuts and bolts, but we're keeping our heads above water, no pun intended.
Our water losses been maintaining.
Pretty much standard pool.
As Matt and I have discussed a lot, I mean, there are, and in fact, I just in Omaha, they had an article on the paper the other day as well. There are a number of pools around the country that just cannot flat out find lifeguards and are closing and swimming areas. So again, the fact, the work that Matt put in last year of getting these kids to kind of a commitment and get them, because I mean, we struggled last year obviously because we didn't have these kids in the WIA program. But they all got in, and basically kind of promised them jobs going forward if they would commit, and a good number of them have. So the fact that we're open as much as we are this year, we're sitting a lot better than many communities around this country that have pools and swimming spots.
And the biggest kudos too goes to the kids for taking their getting their WSIs. Those classes aren't easy. I don't want to sit here and say that any one of us around this table could pass the WSI swim instructors program. I mean, those are not easy classes too. So appreciate the hard work those kids put into to keep the pool running as well. Again, without them, I know City of Barron's in the same boat. They're closed because they don't have staffing. City of Chippewa, obviously they have issues with their pool, but they're also staffing issues too. So that although we're hopefully building a new pool moving here, staffing is always gonna be a concern and the top priority of whether that pool is open or closed.
Any other questions on the monthly report? If not, we'll move on to item number 3. Discussion of possible action regarding approval of the construction bid documents for the Duran Community Pool. And this was a case where last meeting we sort of approved all those final details and so on, but this is to officially, and this is sort of requested through US Aquatics, and we actually approved the actual bid documents. And then right before we get started on these, again, do you want to remind everybody what the schedule is for when they're going out and so on and when they're coming?
Bear with me 1 second. So here's our schedule, our general schedule. We'll have a pre-bid. The bids will be going out next week. After we approve the call for bid tonight, which I'll show in a different slide, it'll be listed in the paper next Thursday. So they will be out next week. There's a pre-bid date, 2 o'clock on the 19th, where we come to the project site location, physically ask questions, talk to staff. The bid will be due by 2 p.m. On July 26th, 2022. Then we will open the bids here at City Hall, read them aloud, and then our engineers will take them back and make sure all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and nobody missed anything and all their math added up correctly. And then July 27th, 2022, we will be here at City Council for the acceptance of the bids. We accept or reject the bids then. Then there will be a notice to proceed awarded on August 4th, where we would sign all the documents between then and notice to proceed with construction scheduled, pre-construction meeting on the 5th, and construction potentially starting on August 8th of this year, with substantial completion May 12th, final completion May 27th, 2023, and facility open May 27th, 2023. So that's your rough work schedule. Again, bear with us on these dates. These dates change as, you know, the pre-construction meeting might be the 3rd or the 6th. The construction date obviously depends on when the winning bidders can actually get here to come and work. You know, we say construction can start on the 8th, they might not start till the 15th or the 20th. You know, again, we don't control that. We give them the time frame of you have to start, you can start here and you will be done by here, and they can pretty much do what they want in that window. So, but that is our window.
Do they have to start that early to make, I mean, what's the kind of the window of, like, they're gonna need 6 months or 4 months?
Yeah, so I can't honestly answer that. I've never actually built a pool before, so I haven't talked to any pool contractors to say, yeah, we need 4 months of good quality weather. So I wish I could answer that one, but I can't answer that one.
And as an unpleasant reminder, we do have some penalties built in on the dates.
Yes, so
Any curb involved here?
a lot of concrete though. So just, we did review the liquidated damage portion of this, and it is about $2,100 a day for this project. And we are using the state of Wisconsin DOT formula, which basically states anything over $2 million has a liquidated damages fee of like $2,100 some odd dollars, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's over $2,100 a day. So in our pre-bid meeting, they will be, you know, again, too, keep in mind with this project, as we all know, supply chain shortages and all that type of stuff could play a little hindrance in some of this stuff. I guess I don't know how the liquidated damages works if we can't get a pool heater from anybody out there or anything like that. So, but we'll cross those bridges when we get to them. So, but this is our general schedule. Any questions on the general schedule? Not to get through, not to go through every one of these sites here, but we'll kind of skip over our construction documents here. Scope of work, outlining all the contract documents, all the contractors have to work together. Down in here to the, right here. So here's the division by the bid package, as we've talked before. This is going to be bid in 3 different packages. Package number 1 is the site work, which consists of demolition, the utility connections within 5 feet of the building, water, sewer, all the storm work, preparation of the site, the bulk excavation and soil corrections, provide backfill materials, provide and install utilities, provide and install civil structures for storm, including the winterization manhole, final grade topsoil sod, etc. And then final removal for cleaning and site parameters and barriers and erosion control. So that's our bid package number 1. Any questions on bid package number 1 before I move on to number 2? Bid package number 1 basically will also include concrete around that'll be in the building. Yeah, that'll be in the building. Bid package number 2 is our aquatics package. Essentially, this is everything that has to do with the pool itself. Complete construction of the pool shell, piping, the pool mechanical systems, any apprentices or anything that deal with the pool. Coordination, presence, and verification of pool shell excavation, trenching and backfill of the pool shell, pool decks and pool drainage systems, under drain systems that connect to the waste, the pool deck amenities such as the shade structures, fencing around the pool, backfill materials, pool deck equipment for bonding, you gotta bond all the metal around the pool, the requirements and the connections for pool equipment. Also goes into the bathhouse for required connections for pool equipment. That's all the stuff in the bathhouse. So that's our second package is aquatics package. Any questions on the aquatics package? Our third package is our general construction. Responsible scope is the general construction of the bathhouse, support building, including but not limited to all of the structural, all of the mechanical, all of the electrical, and all of the plumbing. They need to do all of the under drain systems in the building, hook onto the water and sewer, and then again all electrical, all mechanical, on all plumbing, as well as painting, caulking, sealing, and just the general masonry and final completion of the building. So that's our third package. This fourth one you see multi-package, that's just if there's one company out there that wants to bid on all 3, they just give us a total as a multi-package, because they could give you a discount on them. They still have to list each package individually, and then they just list a multi-package total. So you'll see a bid sheet that'll go out. You'll have, when we get the bid sheets back, you'll see package 1 with the total. When you get your bid package, you'll have all 3 of these on there. If you just want to bid on site work, you just submit site work. If you just bid on aquatics, you submit aquatics. If you bid on general, you submit general. And then the day we read them aloud, and the winning bidders for each one of those packages gets the bid. Other than that, just some more essentially red tape and rules and regulations that go along with bids. So that's the bid documents in a nutshell. If anyone has any questions on the bid documents, this is just again temporary facilities for the people that are working up there. Barricades, heat, fuel, who has to pay for all that stuff during the winter to heat the building. who has to take care of rubbish, who has to provide barricades, who has to maintain all the silt fence when the site guy's not around, things like that, so. And also, like I did mention, the liquidated damages are over north of $2,100.
And that's true on any of the 3 packages?
Yes.
They're the same across the board?
Same across the board.
Okay, any questions on the construction bid documents? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion concerning the approval of the construction bid documents for the Duran Community Swimming Pool?
Make a motion we approve the construction bid documents for the Grand Community Swimming Pool.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the construction bid documents. Any more discussion?
One thing, Mayor, just to reiterate, we did this for specific reasons. We bid it out this way, number one, to try and maximize local ability to bid on this pool, but also we don't have the staff to individualize each and every portion of this. Like you'll see on the next screen, you need a lot of staff if you're going to just bid mechanical and just bid plumbing and just bid electrical and just bid block. So we have to combine some of these because we only have so much staff and so much time to be able to oversee all of these individually. So that's why we combined them. We figured we could handle 3 separate contracts at one time instead of 15 different contracts at one time. So this is what was best for the city and how the city can manage this project, not necessarily what might be best for each individual bidder.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Riesler.
Yes.
Councilmember Weisenbeck.
Yes.
Councilmember Schofield.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilker.
Yes.
Councilmember Gillis.
Yes.
All 5 in favor.
Next, we have discussion possible action regarding the call for bids for the Durand Community Swimming Pool.
Again, this is the advertisement you're going to see in the paper. This will get sent to the paper on Tuesday, and it will be printed Thursday. Call for bids, the community pool notice is given that the city of Durand construction documents receive sealed bids for construction for the Durand community pool replacement. Again, it says 2 p.m. Bids have to be back 2 p.m. local time, July 26, 2022. The construction project includes with the list of everything that's included in the project. Obviously, as the owner reserves the right to reject any of the bids, to waive any informality in bidding, and to accept the most advantageous to the owner. The owner receives the right to check bidders' qualifications for each work specifically and reserves the right to reject bidders the owner deems unqualified. And here's our site location, obviously 1420 at the pool. Again, a pre-bid meeting, construction start and construction closeout. Copies and drawings and specs are available from US Aquatics. We like to have all of our bids and drawings and specs be pulled from one place so that we can track who's pulling them. I don't like, half the people that go to Cedar, half the people that come to me, and half the people that go to US Aquatics. So we ship everybody. You can most definitely call us, but we will then give you their contact information to pull the bids from them. Hard copies are not available. Partial sets of bidding documents will not be issued. Complete digital project bidding documents are available by request and shall be available online at www.questcdm.com. That's pretty much our formal bidding site, national construction bidding site, where we'll be posting those, as long as I think they're going to try and hit some local bidding sites too. So, all bids shall be accompanied by bidder's bonds payable to the owner at 5%. All bids shall be directed to Matthew Gillis at 104 East Main Street, securely sealed and endorsed on the outside of the wrapper stating bids for Grand Community Pool. Bids will be opened and tabulated at 2 PM on July 26th and shall be considered by the owner no later than July 27th, 2022. So this is what will be in the paper. This will run in the paper, it'll be in the paper next week and the following week. So we have to run it for 2 advertisements, and there has to be 7 days after the last advertisement before we can open bids. So we meet all those qualifications.
But then it also gets posted on those sites, right?
Yes, then they go to those sites.
You know, people-
We'll post this on our website too, that we're calling for bids. We'll post this on other sites, but officially, you know, our official publication is the Carrier Wedge.
Any questions concerning the call for bids? Hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the call for bids for the Durand Community Pool?
I'll make the motion to approve the bids for the call for bids for the Duran community.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. So we have a motion and second. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hooker.
Yes.
Councilmember Gillis.
Yes.
Councilmember Raisler.
Yes.
Councilmember Schofield.
Yes.
Councilmember Weisenbeck.
Yes.
All 5 in favor.
Motion's agreed to. We'll be moving forward. Okay, let's pay the bills. Please note the next city council meeting is July 13th at 6:30. Any committees need to be meeting? I know you have
Variance fees.
the variance and so on, but that's,
Safety need to meet regarding the change in the fire.
I don't think so.
and we have a couple other variances also that will be on, that's in,
That are, yeah, residential.
no, residential, yes.
Oh, because he's tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, and they will. It's also on hold. We need to go through it, as I said. I think if there's any mistakes, we can always go through
Sure.
it.
We'll explore it.
Yeah.
Home exploring and more?
John Kilden put a new shop door in for us.
For what?
New shop door.
Oh,
John
shop.
Kilden.
They speed bumps.
Sounds good.
They give us free lunch. That's it, that makes it worse now. Free lunch.
Oh, I had one too. Talked later about whether the company was better today than typically on Wednesday.
I shouldn't be mad, don't even go lunch unless you have a better offer.
Shut your own power. This is a copy.
That's just gonna be.
Well, I tell you.
Pretty sure they do.
US Aquatics. Good check.
Yeah.
That's already been over from? Have you got that one from?
No.
We haven't got that yet?
No.
You don't email that to you on the folder.
Yeah. Such a. Yeah.
Oh, we got all of our numbers.
Oh, Jenny will have, she has to read them or then
I can look into it.
yeah.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the vouchers?
So,
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the vouchers. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Schofield.
yes.
Councilmember Gillis.
Yes.
Councilmember Weisenbeck.
Yes.
Councilmember Ritzler.
Yes.
Councilmember Hooker.
Yes.
All five in favor.
Okay, any other future issues or agenda items? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,